siding with the fossil fuel industry.
BlackRock bread! BlackRock bread! BlackRock bread! BlackRock bread! BlackRock bread! BlackRock bread! Fossil fuel bread!
The stage in 15 seconds.
But also honesty about the budget. So that's step one. We do not have honest budgeting, and we need second. With the threat of Trump coming from Washington right now, I put forward a second here. I propose increasing the general reserve law department into court so we can get that money back. And this week I propose creating an independent authority for reproductive health care and gender-affirming care, so we could spend money on abortions and trans care without putting the $1 billion that we get from the federal government at risk that comes to help at hospitals. I would have a budget that shows our priorities, tells the truth, and gets us ready to stand up to Trump.
Comptroller, do you mind just getting a little bit more specific? I mean, one of the things I didn't give you the full framing initially, but we talked about the $154 million cut to 3K. Is that something that you're looking for, fully restoring and expanding, and then anything along the lines on your environmental portfolios as well would be helpful?
Sure. Yes, sorry, I didn't hear that full question. Yes, absolutely, restoring 3K and 3K. I've made clear we will get to universal 3K in my first year as mayor. Absolutely includes restoring that money. I'm going to restore the $95 million that Eric Adams cut from CUNY in my first year as mayor, $95 million. The state has actually increased its money for SUNY and CUNY, while Eric Adams and CUNY graduates cut the baseline budget by $95 million. Yeah, and then the budget needs to include the resources to make sure we implement local law 97 and invest in the infrastructure of for resilience in the city.
Okay. Thank you. Round of applause to our candidates.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, I think we need to do more public-private partnerships like the one where our library was renovated.
Yes or no? So I'm going to take a while. Sorry.
Yes, we need more viewers to read.
Yes.
The current fiscal year 26 capital plan includes a fully costed proposal to electrify over 700 public schools, but the funding doesn't begin until fiscal year 32 with $295 million spread across 4 years. That means the city would be trying to meet a 2035 deadline starting in 2033. And as we've seen under Mayor Adams, future year budget commitments are often delayed, gutted, or quietly abandoned. So will you commit to fully implementing this school electrification plan on time, as written, and ideally accelerated in timeline?
Yes. No.
Yes.
Thank you, candidates. And then Local 97, as we know, is New York City's primary building emissions law, one of the most important city climate laws in the country. It includes critical emission benchmark by 2030. And while you may not be in office that year, but your administration will be responsible for ensuring the city is on track to meet it. So will you commit to doing what's needed to hit that deadline if you have about a sentence to respond?
Yes, this has been one of the most important municipal level pieces of legislation to help combat climate change. This is something I've been very committed to getting done the right way. It needs to be modified for
Yes, and we need to help those co-ops and other small We need the retrofitting to actually happen, and I would love for you all to check out my Jobs and Housing Act, which is a bill I have in the Senate, to help people do this that I'd be able to do outright as your mayor.
Yes, I was proud to be one of the earliest co-sponsors of Local Law 97. As a controller, my office released a report on how we can strengthen it, including by limiting RECs, renewable energy credits, to more than 30% of the buildings in compliance. And we should use the resources that come from fines and fees precisely to create a affordable housing fund and support the co-ops and condos that Jessica is referring to.
Thank you. And then a few fun questions here. So, if you could create a brand new New York City holiday, what would it celebrate? Brand new New York City holiday. And you have about a sentence to respond as well. If Brad has an answer, you can go first.
I mean, Coney Island opening day is already pretty good. I don't know, it's already Brooklyn Queens Day, so I guess we need Bronx Day.
You say that, but actually I would argue that since the New York State Charter was signed on April 20th, that perhaps April 20th should be a holiday in New York City in order to celebrate the founding of New York.
Well done.
Perhaps a day to celebrate immigration, which is the great strength of this country, especially this city, and it would be a great thumb in the eye of Donald Trump.
So I have to say, look, I'm from Brooklyn, big Biggie fan. I think we should have a Biggie Day as a holiday. We can also celebrate all the other amazing hip hop artists that have come from New York City. That should be a holiday.
And back to the serious question. What do you think is the top pressing issue New York is facing with Donald Trump as president, and what is your plan to combat what he's doing? That's about a sentence answer. Yeah, this is top one.
I think he's shredding our Constitution, and we have to stand up to that. I have released a frontline agenda that will fight back against this, but I think if we do not have the foundations set, we allow for them to push us around, we're going to see a city and a country that we do not recognize.
I think I'm worried about what the fiscal impact is going to be in terms of transportation, Medicare, and schools in particular.
I'm going to go with Bill the Bench. As mayor, I'd be able to appoint criminal court and civil court attorneys, and we want to build a pipeline for even higher courts to have great talent that really looks like and sounds like New York. So I think that's going to be really important in making sure that everyone that comes before the bench receives a fair trial, and in that way, hopefully continue my work as senator to expand mental health courts and alternatives to incarceration.
I mean, picking the biggest one is impossible given the magnitude of cuts to education and healthcare and reproductive care. But I guess I will say in the week when we saw black-footed ICE agents, graduate students off the streets of our cities for deportation, that's how authoritarianism creeps one step at a time. In terms of what we can do, I mentioned this independent authority to protect reproductive health care and gender-affirming care. One other thing I want to do is pass a thing called the Secure Jobs Act, which will take New York City from being a city that's at will employment like everywhere else in America, and make it what's called just cause employment, where you gotta have a good reason to fire someone. We did it for fast food workers with a bill I passed. We could do it for all workers in New York City. And if you get fired for organizing, and Trump's corrupt NLRB is not there to protect you, New York City will be there to protect you.
I want to welcome you to the stage, and we'll just close out this section before we give you your chance to give some remarks. So, last two questions in this section. First one is just in one word. What part of being mayor do you think will challenge you the most?
Sorry, but
What part of being mayor do you think will challenge you the most?
I'd say
Bloomberg and Bill de Blasio did a decent job of always ending his press conferences with a few sentences in Spanish. And well, I already speak Spanish, so I want to be able to communicate with the next big constituency that we have in New York, and I'd like to try my hand at running.
I think I've made my number one commitment is ending street homelessness for people with serious mental illness. We don't have to be a city where thousands of mentally ill neighbors sleep on subway platforms and the stoops of our building. I want to be able to come back here after 1 or 2 years and show what's done.
And then the question is, what part of being mayor will challenge you most in a few words?
It's too expensive for New Yorkers.
Great, thank you. And then, Assemblyman Mamdani, I just want to invite you on the stage for close out this section. We're just in our June class section. Our last rapid fire question is, name one other candidate in this race whose vision for New York State you find compelling, and briefly, what specifically about that vision? Maybe if Michael wanted to start it, I'll just look at the time.
I would say that there are two of us that are constantly talking about the true cost of living. And if we are, that's what we got to do. We have to help people make more money and keep more money in their pocket. And we have to be very focused on what we're doing to improve the environment, to improve housing. And so, trying to be good about right choice lives. We all can understand what I'm talking about right there, but there's one person who's been talking about that consistently.
I try to get to every picket line that I can to stand up with and fight for workers, but I joke sometimes I'm the candidate who gets to the second most picket lines of any elected official in New York City, because Labor Chair Jessica Ramos gets to the first most, and she's been a fighter for labor and right to organize and work with people, and I find that very inspiring.
I'm looking for in a mayor someone who doesn't just understand our issues, but has really lived them. And in that way, I identify a lot with former Assemblyman Michael Blake, because I think he grew up in New York City in many similar ways. But I also want someone who understands what it's like to be at City Hall and actually administrate the city. Because we do have to govern in prose, and in that way, I really identify with Rodney.
I think the number one crisis in the city is affordability. It's strictly a supply issue, and so I'm going to tip to Zohran here for having the courage of anyone in the Democratic field calling for a flood of new housing.
Look, I think anyone on this stage would be a better mayor than Eric Adams and Cuomo. Coming from a really genuine place, places focused on the true cost of living, and that is something that I think is really important going forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be here with all of you. I would echo the words of my fellow initial holders again in acknowledging the leadership of former Assemblymember Michael Blake in highlighting cost of living as the crisis facing working class New Yorkers. And I think often about his focus on how AMI is an insufficient indicator of what is actually affordable across the 5 boroughs, and the necessity for us to ensure that people don't just have a minimum wage, they have a living wage, and that be an amount of money that they can actually afford to call the city their home.
Everybody, excuse the late off crisscross. My name is Michael Blake. I'm running very simply because we have to help New Yorkers make and keep more money in their pocket. I'm running very simply because it's absolutely too hard what's happening in the city. We have an absolute clown in Donald Trump that is attacking us in every single way. By going after from Medicaid, from going after us for immigration, let's be clear, ICE has no business in our schools. of worship. I come to you as a son of Jamaican immigrants who understands that we can do all these things at the same time. And we have to be bold in how we fight for our communities. We should not have credit scores used when it comes to rent home ownership applications. It is hard and it's racist and doesn't make any sense. We should be very focused on how we have civics, financial literacy, and mental health for every student before they graduate, that every student should be able to go to CUNY and go to CUNY for free. We should be able to train them how to do it properly and correctly. We are talking through how do you ensure that you have a local median income, because AMI doesn't make any sense to you. Westchester County and the places impacting our affordability right now. And so if you are serious about saying who is the only person who has actually defeated Donald Trump in this race, because I did that as vice chair of the DNC, and when you understand that we need to have someone who has White House, State House, and local experience, my name is Michael Blake, that's why I'm running for mayor. I'm coming to you right now because I appreciate the clap right now. We're coming to you right now because we have to do this differently. And you had people who could have fixed this before and they didn't. Eric Adams, Andrew Cuomo haven't done a damn thing to help you. And now it's about us changing the game, how we actually fight for you. So if you're ready for a new generation of leadership that is focused on the true cost of living, focused on actual affordable housing, and ensuring that, yes, you can have public safety and accountability at the same time, my name is Michael Blake, I want to be your mayor. Thank you for the opportunity. Go to Blake for the
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zohran Mamdani, and I am running for mayor because we stand in the wealthiest city, in the wealthiest country, in the history of the world, and yet 1 in 4 New Yorkers are living in poverty. 500,000 children go to sleep hungry every night. And we have seen that a majority of New Yorkers hand over more than 50% of their paycheck each month to a landlord or a mortgage lender, and they don't have all that much to show for it. I'm running to make this city more affordable. And I'm running because climate change is the existential crisis of our time. It has been the North Star in the work that I have done in the State Assembly, where I was proud to help lead the passage of the Build Public Renewables Act, which gave the state the authority to do just that, where I led the fight to defeat the 8th largest carbon emitter in the country, NRG, when they wanted to build a frack gas power plant in our backyard in Astoria, and where I launched and won the Fix the MTA campaign, which won more than $100 million in increased bus and subway service, including a first-of-its-kind fare-free bus pilot, where we saw not just an increase in ridership of up to 38%, not just a decrease in assaults on bus operators by about 39%, but the mode shift likes of which we haven't seen in New York City, where 11% of new riders got out of a taxi, got out of the car they were driving, and took a bus. And at the core of this is the belief that public transit is the greatest tool we have to take on this crisis. And it's time to change the I'm excited at the prospect of today and over the course of the rest of this race to outline how we are going to take on buildings, energy, transportation, because these are the largest source of carbon emissions in our city, and we deserve a mayor who is going to side with working people across the 5 boroughs to ensure they can't just afford this city, but they can also breathe the air of this city. Thank you so much.
The current fiscal year 26 capital plan includes a fully costed proposal to electrify over 700 public schools, but the funding does not begin until fiscal year 32, with $295 million spread across 4 years. This means the city would be trying to meet a 2035 deadline starting in 2033. And as we've seen in our Mayor Adams' future year budget commitments are often delayed, gutted, or abandoned. So will you just commit to fully implementing the school electrification plan on time as written and ideally accelerating this plan?
Absolutely, I will commit to the vote.
100%, absolutely. And we can pay for it, absolutely.
Great, well thank you so much, and we'll swing it over to our last class of the day.
Michael Blake, Zohran, you guys missed a few classes earlier today. We did an English class, this is a seminar. You also missed 2 class projects, talking about the climate crisis and the city budget. And speaking as somebody who probably skipped a math test every we'll forgive it for today for the sake of time. And normally I am not the math teacher of the day. I'm your substitute teacher, so we're not going to do a full-blown math lesson, but instead we're going to play Family Feud. So this is how it's going to work. We surveyed the members of the audience on a variety of different questions, and we are going to play this in teams. So I'm going to split right here. So we're going to do Michael Blake, Brad Lander, and the three of you guys are going to make a team. So just let me huddle up a little bit. So we're going to just play one round for the sake of time. And the way that this is going to work is the top 6 answers are on the board. You have to give the answers. And each team will have to provide their top prize points wins. Clear? Let's think about it. So let's get the first. So the question is, we surveyed the students in the room. What is something you wish your school had more of? So we'll give you 30, 45 seconds to come up with your top 3 choices. I see the confidence. What are your two?
Brick and backboard.
We're locking this in as a team. So that's what we're locking in. Good. Let's go to this side.
We don't want to step. So maybe dead ass. Pause.
So let's see the answers. Listening to the exercise, we should just still read them out loud. Number 6. Number 6. Number 5. Number 4. Number 3. Number 2. And number 1. Okay. So I will say, if people are confused, I'm being deadass and deadass are distinctly separate. That means you guys work for that. You guys work. Okay. We're good to go? Okay. Well, we'll end it on a tie, unfortunately. But thank you all so much. One more so much to all the candidates for being here today. Let's give them all one more big round of applause.
Thank you again for being part of this moment, and you've heard directly from our decision. So we'll be also deciding who earns our trust and our vote. Now we know we have a busy campaign schedule, so we'll let you go as we close up with the audience. So thank you again.
And one more thing, as they're heading out, each candidate, before they came here, also filled out a candidate questionnaire answering much more questions in more detail. Those will be published early next week on our website, TreeAge.org. But before we go, let's get a picture with all of us on stage, please. I got it. Hopefully, but I still have questions. Not really, and no, I'm more confused now than ever before. And then the third question is, what's one action you're most ready to take after today?
To live life independently, and if there is any hope for a Fordham University student to be able to afford their rent, to be able to afford their Metro card, to be able to afford their Con Ed bill, they need to have a mayor who's going to fight for them each and every day, and that's what's on the ballot on June 24th, is whether or not they have someone who fights for them, whether or not they have someone who's going to freeze the rent, make buses fast and deliver universal childcare. Thank you so much. Such a pleasure. Thank you. Okay, you are.
Johnny, can I ask you the first question? Last week you surpassed the match in funds. What's your strategy now for the next 12 weeks for the primary?
The strategy now is to ask New Yorkers for their time, and what we're seeing is that we have knocked on almost 100,000 doors across the 5 boroughs of New York City, and that's only been possible because we've had more than 8,000 New Yorkers sign up to volunteer with our campaign. We have tasked ourselves with the mission of building the largest volunteer operation that any municipal election has seen in this country, and we're confident of being able to do so thanks to the support of working class New Yorkers.
All right, the two other candidates here, Andrew Cuomo and Mayor Eric Adams, the incumbent, did not come to this town hall. What's your thoughts on their not attending this town hall?
Neither of them want to answer to their records. Eric Adams doesn't want to answer to his record of taking almost every opportunity to exacerbate a cost of living crisis, raising the rent, supporting Con Ed when they wanted to jack up New Yorkers' gas and electric by close to $70 a month, and making sure that he was doing almost everything he could to collaborate with the Trump administration at a time when New Yorkers need someone to fight back. Andrew Cuomo is the same disgraced governor who shares a record with Donald Trump in cutting Medicaid, stealing hundreds of millions of dollars from the MTA, hounding women who have courageously stepped up to credibly accuse him of sexual harassment, and claiming to fight for working class New Yorkers, all while showering his rich donors with tax breaks. We don't need 2 of those New Yorkers in executive positions today.
Are you still calling for Mayor Adams to step aside and to resign as an assembly member or as a candidate?
I've made my thoughts clear. I continue to believe that this city needs new leadership, and it's also clear that Mayor Adams has no one's interest in mind other than his own, and so I look forward to beating him at the ballot box on June 24th. Thank you so much.
One last question
Please.
I have. If you are the Democratic candidate for mayor, and let's say Adams or Cuomo decides to run as an independent, how would you fight that campaign strategy as well?
I will beat them the same way I did on June 24th.
You have any last comments to say?
No, that's all. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, so for 2028, like I know like you guys have like many roles, and you think like somebody out there like maybe AOC who like people look at. Thank you so much.
Assemblymember Michael Blake?
Yes.
Former Assemblymember?
Yes.
All right. What were your thoughts on this today's forum, meeting the other candidates? We saw two other candidates did not show up, Andrew Cuomo and Eric Adams. What's your thoughts and reactions to that?
Our job is to lay out to our students, to our environmental leaders, and all New Yorkers that you can have a new generation of leadership. And I'm really focused on not who isn't showing up, but those that are here. And my whole focus is around the true cost of living, affordable housing, and actually changing the game for our city, and saying that you can have a young man of color that can represent the city that you can be proud of.
And what sets you apart from all the other candidates here? We obviously saw Assemblymember Mamdani got a huge applause here earlier. He's been in second place in the primary. Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, what sets me apart is that I'm the only candidate who has defeated Donald Trump when I was the vice chair of the DNC. I'm the only candidate who has White House, State House, and local experience. And I'm the only candidate laying out how you actually can have this new generation of leadership and pay for it. You can have and you deserve to have public safety and public transportation and public education all work for you. And I'm the only one laying out how you can make and keep more money in your pocket. That's what makes me different, and that's why people are going to support Michael Blake.
Right. And in terms of the student town hall, what did you learn from the students and their questions throughout this event?
I absolutely loved the family feud style of questioning. There's always great energy when you're engaging with students, and students are showing us how you can transform the game together. So our energy gets heightened by being around students. You are the ones that are going to be most impacted by our policies. It is our job to support you because you are not just the future leaders, you're the leaders of today.
I know you're on a tight schedule on campaigning. You have any last comments you want to say?
We're just excited about what we're doing and saying to everyone that you can have this new generation of leadership, that we can restore hope to politics, and that you can have someone who actually is ready immediately. And if you want to have that, my name is Michael Blake, and I'm ready to be your mayor.
All right, thank you very much, Michael Blake.
Thank you.
I know, they're new to know, but I'm sorry.
I appreciate your organizing.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest.
My sister told me